How's it going, YouTube? It's been quite a while. This is a little tour about on my yard and pond, I guess. It does not look really good right now, but I put in a waterfall today, temporary right now, just to get some water oxygenation in. The water was a little bit stagnant. Oh, frog just popped up. Don't know if you see him. I don't know where he came from. It's pretty cool. There have been two frogs. One frog died last year for unknown reasons. I just found it dead. I don't know if a cat got it. It didn't have injuries or anything, but I added some bearded iris. I'm not sure if they are technically supposed to be in a pond or not. I know certain kinds of iris are, but I don't know about this one. So it's a test. I have so much it doesn't really matter. And then I took I can't remember the name of the plant that's down there right now, but I took some of that and I put it up in the waterfall. It's just more of filtration. I don't know if I can zoom in on him. He's a pretty good sized bullfrog. I have 4 goldfish in here, 2 I put in here, and then 2 I assume either a neighbor or somebody put one in without telling me, or they had babies and only 2 survived. But so I'm gonna do like a back up here to show my yard goes up to the front street there, and then side of the house all the way to the fence back there, and on the corner there is the compost pile. There's a mulberry tree right there, there's a redbud right there, and then behind them is a dogwood and a couple tulip trees that I'm letting grow. A lot of this, most of this actually, are perennial flowers and bulbs like daffodils and tulips that are mainly they're done blooming right now. Some of them, like the doubles and stuff, are still going. Getting some growth on different bushes, and the mulberries starting to get leaves on them. And so I'm getting pretty excited about the growing season, and with all this virus stuff, my business is currently shut down, so I have all the time in the world to come out. There's a bunch of peony coming up. Had to pull out a whole bunch of garlic, or maybe I don't know what it is. This redbud is so, I'm amazed that everybody doesn't have a redbud tree in their yard. Bees love it. Once this starts blooming, they're just going to be swarming. There was a whole bunch of hyacinth that are they're still kind of around. Still smells amazing. All of this is surprise lily. It's actually amazing. I dug up a clump of these, and the size of the bulbs, they had huge bulbs on them, and I transplanted them around the dogwood there, and then I just found out yesterday that hosta are edible. I've always really liked hosta. There's so many different varieties, but I know that they're not really a native species, which is what I'm trying to do with my yard, is be more of a native habitat. But so I don't know if lily of the valley are native either, but there are a whole bunch of them coming up. This is tall phlox. It'll get like 3 to 6 foot. There's another kind of daffodil that's blooming right now. It's a tiny. I really like how many different varieties there are. It's actually kind of amazing how many kinds of the same flower there can be. There's one of the tulip trees, other tulip trees there, and then I'm trying to take a line of Rosa Sharon and lilac bushes and just line my property. I don't really want to put up a fence, so I'm making like a living fence. So I put a bunch in back there to help hide that fence that they put up. This used to be woods behind me, and a few years ago they tore it all out, which was super sad to me. There was this huge tree that used to stand like where that driveway is right now, and it was enormous. And I thought they were going to leave it. It was like they left it. They left it last. It was almost like it was a joke. And then the next day I came out and they had cut it down. I have there's like a shade garden over here. Same with on the other side of the house that stays relatively shady. There's a couple kinds of ferns, more hosta, and then I don't know the name of this plant either, but it gets real long and lanky, and it comes up kind of like an arc, and it gets these tiny little fragrant white flowers on them. Yeah, so back here is where the veggie garden is going to be mainly at, because we have a problem with deer coming and eating all of our food. So like we're gonna stuff this full of as much as we can grow veggie wise, and then whatever we can't fit in here I'll end up putting around the property. I'm gonna take more grass out along these bushes here and make a row and start separating more of the perennial flowers and just plug them all the way, like all the way down the property, which is what we've been doing with the daffodils every year. We've been taking them and separating them, and so like I have time. I have a lot of things that are fragrant that I can go and just rub my hands on. It smells so good. Yeah, so dogwood's getting ready to pop. It's got little flowers opening up on it. I'm not sure what it might be a crepe myrtle back there. I'm not exactly for sure. My wife's mother bought that for her. I know that that's not native, but wife's mother bought it. Gotta keep it. There's some lilacs that are getting ready to bloom. These are gonna smell amazing. I'm hoping to see some hummingbirds. Oh, which is bee balm is another thing that I have back there. I'm gonna separate. That's also hummingbirds love. And then all the way down the side of the house here I have different hostas. So there's different, I tried to do like every other like green variant, and then there's another kind of a fern that I bought, and then variant. This one's kind of like a very light yellow and green, and then you got the green and white. I'm not sure what this kind. I need to get better with the names of the flowers and stuff, but this is some kind of. It stretches out and it's kind of like a ground cover, and it gets these awesome purple flower shoots on them. So I've been trying to separate those every year and put them around the property. And then there's this like vibrant green. I don't know. I just really like them. I found out the other day that you can actually I can like snap these off and eat them. I didn't know they were edible, which is pretty cool. There's another mulberry tree over in this mess right here. I don't mess with this area because it's there's poison ivy and the property here is abandoned, so they don't do anything. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling and showing everybody my yard and the projects that I'm planning. I need to separate all these lilacs out. So right now would be a good time while they're small and it's still cool out to continue the fence that I'm making. I put these logs here as kind of like, it's like a border, but also for them to break down and for the local insects and stuff to like make homes in them. And last year we had a woodpecker come in. It actually didn't land on any of the trees or the logs. It landed on I think it ended up landing on Black-Eyed Susan top, and like just sat there for a little while. It was pretty cool to watch. Another thing is this clump right here, which I separated, and there's another clump back there by that forsythia bush, is goldenrod, which is, I think it's the gigantic version of goldenrod, because one year it got taller than I am, and I'm 6 foot, so and there's more tall phlox there, and there. Deer like it, but when the deer eat the buds off of the plant, they end up growing more, it's a bigger clump of smaller flowers instead of a couple big flowers, which is pretty neat. Yeah, so just showing you guys. I have a rabbit in the porch there in the cage. We let her into the garden area, kind of tilled. She went around and dug around and tilled, and we have some tulips coming up. There's some serrated versions and some regular versions. There's some wild violets, which I've seen people make jelly out of. I have never done that, but it is interesting to me. Different succulents and stuff that I put around as different ground covers, and this will get a nice yellow flower all over the top of it. So it's pretty cool. Robins. Yeah, seeds. Got the seeds planted. These are giant sunflowers, assorted sunflowers. There's dill, chives, tomatoes. I need to get some peppers. There's some climbing green beans. I'm tempted to try the Three Sisters technique Native Americans used to use with the corn, squash, and the beans. If anybody's ever done that, comment down below. Let me know how that went. And lastly, before I head off here real quick, this blueberry bush, I'm having a terrible time with it. I put some pine needles around it, and I've been trying to give it more water because I've been reading that they like a lot of water, but there's only been 1 year that I had a couple berries on it, and I don't know if maybe the deer keep eating it and that's the problem or what, but pond needs a lot of work, but it's coming together. I'm pretty happy about it. It's been nice to be able to get out, enjoy the outside, and change my yard, work on the yard, and get all these weeds out, make it look good, and hopefully grow some awesome food this year and kind of play around with what will work on the property and what won't. I'm kind of tempted to try and squeeze in a couple fruit trees in between this mulberry and the redbud, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions about my yard or anything else that I'm growing, or have any ideas and like some cool things that I could do. Oh, another thing is possibly getting chickens to put out in the back to help with pest control and fertilizer and stuff. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll catch you later.